In our previous um, video, we just introduced, opened the file and introduced the site for this building that we're going to do in the structure of this building. The sidewalk here we built using a mass, which is the same procedure or process I used to create the parking slab and back here and here and the curbs around the edge of the landscaping here and around this. The landscape here was, of course, built uh, or by using a pad, a building pad, actually, um, and setting that on the topology. But so we have, and then we establish the architectural grid or the structural grid, and we're going to assume that the outside edge, the grid lines define the outside edge of the structural wall. In this case, we're going to be using CMU construction um, so for our little building. Our building, of course, has a CMU wall it's going to be all the way around here, and then it'll eventually have a brick veneer, but we won't be doing that in this. We'll do that when we do envelopes. And that CMU wall, of course, needs to sit on a foundation. As far as the type of foundation we're going to use a slab on grade with some kind of, as it shows here, with some kind of footing or turn down. And we'll do a simple turn down here. Uh, and then later we'll change that as we add the veneer on there and show. So with that in mind, let's put in a slab. There's a couple of ways we can do that. We can go into the tab structure uh, and we can use a floor, or we can use the slab function right here. And I prefer using this one because it's more direct. And then we'll see you'll have at least one slab foundation slab profile. This is a generic foundation. It's 6 inches. If we click on edit the type, we'll see here's concrete. It's using concrete cast in place as the material, and it's 6 inches. That's pretty typical for most commercial buildings. 4 inches is typical for slabs for residences. So let's just keep that. And then we're going to go in and define that slab. And probably the easiest way to do that is just use the rectangle tool here and snap from here to here. Oh, before I do that, where is this slab going to go in the Z direction, right? And so we need to check the level. We want it to be on the first finished floor, okay, level, because that's the top of the first uh, finished floor. So I'm in the right level. If I wasn't, then I need to change that before I drew this, or I guess I could have moved it before. So I'm going to pop that in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and lock it to the grid lines, even though we may have to change that later. Um, if I change those grid lines now, it'll move with uh, the size of the slab will move with it. And so we're just going to accept that. Uh, it's not appearing, okay? It could be several reasons for that. One may be that since we did this in a site view, it's not uh, visible. Uh, so if we go to the first finished floor, which is where we probably should have drawn it to begin with, uh, so you may want to go to the first finished floor level under structural plans to draw it. Might be easier to see. And so there it is. If we go into 3D views, we'll see it sitting right here. Okay. Um, Now we need to add that footing, that edge footing, and slab edge to it. And so what we're going to do is go into, once again, structure, uh, slab edge, and we're just going to use the existing one. We can later we'll make our own profile to put the drop down for the brick in there. But right now we'll just use this one. Uh, if we look at the type, it's calling a particular profile, and I'll go over that and how you create profiles. You'll notice there's no material assigned here, so I'm going to go in and I am going to assign material here. Okay, and once again, I want that material to be concrete. Oops. C-O-N-C. It should come up. There we go. Cast in place concrete, gray. And we're going to say OK to that. And now we have a material applied to it. That gives it, first of all, appearance, rendering, and stuff like that. But also, there's physical characteristics that are applied to that. So now it's pretty simple. Um, Vertical profile, horizontal profile, the constraints of it. We don't need to, 0, 0 is fine on that. And then all we need to do is go around and select the edges of the profile. It's going to drop down that. Oh, actually, that should be below here. Uh, I grabbed the wrong line. Let's zoom in. Yeah, we want it on this edge, so we want it down below it. Okay. And so you can see the footing is going down into the ground right here. Okay. We can make that visible either by turning off uh, the topography. And why don't I do that? I'll just hide this for right now. Elements. Okay. So you can see now we have that edge there, and we can just go around and select once again this bottom edge. Uh-oh, we need to get back into it. I dropped out slab edge. And once again, select this bottom line. Oh, it selected the top line again. I'll undo that. And there we go. Okay. So, and sometimes this is easier to do from 3D because we can see it happening. If I did it from a 2D view, then uh, I wouldn't be able to see that it wasn't connecting to the right surface, that it was connecting to the top instead of the bottom of the slab. And so now we have that in there. Okay. Now let's take a look at that uh, slab and its edge uh, from a wall section. So what I'm going to do is have you create a wall section here real quick. So let's we'll go back into the first finished floor here. And the wall section we want to see is going to be this right here. So we're going to go into views, okay, and sections, and offset. We don't want a building section, we want a wall section. And we're just going to, right now, put it in here. And I'll probably flip that and flip this. Okay, all I'm clicking is to cycle through the tags on each side there. And so now we have a wall section in here. If we go in and take a look at that wall section, of course the levels. So I'm going to fix it so I can read this a little bit better. Uh, it's using hidden. We'll shade right now so that maybe we can see this. You can see the topo right here. And what we'll do is we'll come in and do a building pad, and that'll enable us to do that. Also, we could turn on medium coarse so we could see the definitions. And I'm going to drop this down. Okay, once again. So now I can see my levels. Now I may want to come in and put additional levels that relate to this, but right now I'm not going to concern myself about it. The next thing I'm going to do is put in a building pad. Okay, uh, and so let's do that. Uh, Now that I have a foundation here, I'm going to slide the building pad in. So let's go back to massings and site, go to building pad. Okay, and we're going to start the first level. We'll make the building pad. I'm going to make this a not a foot this time. Oh, cancel. Let's duplicate. And we'll call this pad 2, uh, 2 inches. Okay. And then we'll edit it and make this 2 inches. Now I've got the sand material here on this um, instead of a earth material, so it's going to show it as sand rather than earth. That's because I want it visually not to see those earth hatch uh, underneath underneath the building. So I'm going to say OK to that, say OK to this, and then once again we can just use our rectilinear tool and do it again. Once again, we're going to tie the pad to the outside edge of the building like that. And then we're going to accept that. And let's go back into our section because we're probably going to have to move. So let's go back into our wall section here. And while we're going there, let's rename it. Okay. Wall section. And that's along the B here. So I'm going to rename it wall section B so that I'll know that it's along that B grid line. And let's go in here now. And we see there's the building pad right there. Uh, it's at the very top. We should have offset it, but I'll just show you because I'm always forgetting to do that at the beginning. So what we need to do is offset that so that it is underneath the slab here. And so that's 6 inches. So I'm going to put -6 inches in here. And apply it. And now the building pad's down here, okay? So we can see the edge footing sticking outside the topography. And of course that would probably be sloped a little bit away from the building with at least a 6-inch exposure of the concrete until we get our brick in there. Okay, so now the foundation's finished. The next thing I'm going to do is do some concrete block walls, which should be pretty straightforward. So I'm going to end this video here and we'll do another one that's on walls.